One basic question is for our future of work is how will the office where we work look like? So we used to work in a home office or in a regular office, but the question is always what we're doing here. My research for the human datum is always connected to the future of work with AI, of course, with AI agents or AGI coming in, all this talk about these super AIs and these world models. But the question remains, because we have to work in a certain workplace or workspace, where will we work and how will it look like there? So, and there, when I talk to CEOs or to employees, to leaders, and to people working in big, huge office towers in the cities here in Canada or in the US, um, there was one final answer, and I was really surprised that they told me when I asked what's the most important thing there, what's the most important asset you want to have or you want to reach. A lot of people told me it's silence, and I was fascinated about this, and that's why I wanted to talk with you about this today, and wanted to ask you for your opinion as well. When you look at your office, we used to work in small offices, and then came the idea of this big office landscapes and working on the floor, so to say, with many people in little like islands where all the teams sit. But I can imagine, because I worked in offices like this, we worked on this floor concept. First of all, it was cost driven, of course, and then on the other end, it was very much on effectiveness as well and optimizing our work uh, area. So um, there, still people were just talking, telephoning, typing, drinking coffee together, discussing something at the table. And I remember that there was not really this moment of silence. That's true. And then came the era when we moved into meeting rooms, even on the lower floors, not on the upper floors where the bigger or the big leaders, the elite leaders sit, so to say. And we as well tried to have a moment of silence. But when I'm honest now, I can imagine and I understand that people today say, because we have so many impulses coming to us from all these text messages, phones, people now dictating even to AIs. They're not typing anymore, they're dictating because they're using the voice mode of AI. That silence is one of the biggest issues in an office, because you always get this distraction. Always something is coming, like a new letter from the post, or a new message here, new emails, a colleague is coming to your table, a phone call, somebody is calling a client on the other end of the room, and you need to listen to this, or you go to this smaller rooms for a moment, but you feel like separated from your team. When you always do this, you're a bit lonely there. This happens as well, that people separate them for several hours, and then everybody asks, where is that person? Why is she not sitting on the floor anymore? So silence. And when you think about what AI will do for us in the future, AI will do the groundwork. So no more Excel sheets, no more Word documents. When you see what Claude, what ChatGPT, what Gemini can do for you, all this office related stuff. So the groundwork will be done by AI. And what the research says here is that when you talk to the CEOs, they say that they want on the upper floors um, a design and an architecture style like in the monasteries. So they want their silent rooms there, they want their big tables, they want a clean design. Maybe AI is integrated in these designs as well on in the walls with loudspeakers and microphones, but they want this. When you look at the architecture of this old-fashioned, like centuries ago's architecture styles where the monks lived, they had an ecosystem on their own. They had only time for praying and for working. But it's true, it was, in a matter of fact, it was for silence and silently working. And that's a concept where a lot of people tend to have this clean, silent spaces. And the boardroom of 2030 looks like this. It looks very clean and silent. And because this is when AI takes over the groundwork, they answered when I asked them, why do you want to look at your boardrooms like in a monastery. It's like this clean, silent atmosphere, because they say when I'm meeting with my team or just with one colleague, we have to make the very important decisions. And for decision making, I can't have this big talk in this huge offices and everybody's discussing. We need our silent atmosphere. Which brings one question: is this silence then only for the upper level, for the elite leaders? I asked myself, and I want your response, please, in the comments. Or is it for everybody? Because it doesn't make sense if only the leaders and the big leading elites have this moment of silence, and the rest of the company has still to struggle there in this noisy atmosphere with a lot of distraction. So we wrote a piece about this. This is on our blog. I wanted to ask you, what do you think about this very important asset of silence in the office? Is this important for you or not? Answer in the questions. Answer the question and in the comments, and just leave a comment here. I'm happy to talk with you about this.